Hey there, Mama Work It Tribe. I'm Marissa Lonick, working mom of 4, lover of all things flow, family, and fulfillment. You're tuning in to the Mama Work It podcast, where we take aim at overwhelm, mom guilt, and exhaustion and swap them out for big dreams, belly laughs, and productivity that actually fits into your life. Every week, we dive into tips, motivation, and a healthy dose of fun so you can slay your day even when you're busy AF. Ready to feel seen, energized, and totally unstoppable? Let's get to work, mama. Hey, mama friends. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mama Work It podcast. If you are new in town, my name is Marissa Lonick. I am your host and the founder of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. I am having this full circle moment today. It is our 200th episode. I can't even wrap my head around that. 200th episode. We launched this podcast back in January 2021. It's been such a journey, so incredible, but my full circle moment is not even thinking about all the amazing people I've met on this show, all the interesting conversations, all the things I've learned from those amazing guests and just those conversations we've had. But the fact that I'm wearing the shirt, the same shirt that was on the cover art, the OG cover art for the show. And I did not plan this. I just realized it as I was ready to hit record. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure I had this exact top on in the photo that we had on our original cover art. So anyway, fun fact for today, 200th episode, still rocking the same clothes. So I want to tell you, I started this show because I'm an ambitious mom, right? And I want to start there because the whole premise of today's episode is ambitious mom lessons learned. So I want to look back at fun, interesting, important lessons I've learned, facts I've learned, things I've learned from this show. I'm going to be referencing back episodes, guests, content, because it's stuff that's stuck with me that I've really taken on this journey over the past few years and that I have found to be so helpful, powerful, just really necessary, honestly, in my working mom life. So first and foremost, what defines an ambitious mom? What does that mean to you? To me, this is a mom who, gosh, I don't know how to put this, but doesn't take no for an answer. And I don't mean that in the sense of that she says yes to everything, or, if someone says no, she fights back. That's not what I mean. I mean more nothing's impossible to her. So despite the fact that maybe she's juggling lots of things, despite the fact that she wears a lot of hats, despite the fact that, maybe she's pregnant or postpartum or wanting to grow her family, she is still capable, able, available to pursue goals and dreams and things that she wants to do, whether they be about her family, about her own career, about her own personal hobbies or ambitions. That to me is an ambitious mom. And so if you are a mom listening who defines herself as ambitious, maybe not exactly the way I think about it, but the way you think about it, you are in the right place. You have found the right show. If it is the first time you're listening, congratulations, you've got 199 other amazing episodes you can tune into. And if you've been a loyal listener, thank you. Thank you so much. It means the world to me to have you here in this community, to have you be a recipient of this information week after week. So, like I said, I want to share today, I want to take the opportunity on this 200th episode to share some of the most impactful things I've learned on this show from past guests. So, today I'm going to hit the top 10 that have really stuck with me over these almost 5 years. Can't believe that we have been producing, running, airing, recording this show. So this is going to be a mix of lots of stuff, practical hacks, more like emotional things. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but I will say this is all stuff that has really stuck with me. So the first thing I'm going to share, it comes from episode 3. So going way back in the day here, that episode was called Brains and Behavior, and it featured Dr. Sarah Allen, who is a pediatric neuropsychiatrist and the founder of Brain Behavior Bridge. And quick pause here. I am going to link all of the episodes that I referenced today. So if you want to dive deeper into some of these amazing guests' content that they shared, because there's lots more besides like the 1 or 2 fun facts that I'm going to share with you, please go ahead and listen to those episodes after this. All right. So something that really stuck with me that Dr. Sarah Allen said on that episode was the most important skill you can teach your children is coping. Coping. I love this so much because Dr. Sarah said, like, you can't avoid problems in life, right? You can't avoid heartbreak and mean teachers and obnoxious bosses and illness and death and all these things that happen. But you can learn how to best cope with these things when they hit. And one of those super important things you as a parent can do is to help teach your kids how to best cope when things like this come up in life. So I just love that. I lean into that a lot. You know, things are always going to happen in life and you can't always avoid them. And so learning how to cope best with them and teaching my kids how to cope with those things has really been impactful in my parenting journey. So that is the first one that I will share with you. Let's move on to the second. The second comes also from way back in the day. It's from episode 7. And that episode was called Busy Mama Cooking Hacks with Celestina Brunetti. She was or is a registered dietitian, a private chef, and the founder of the Wellness Cucina. Such a good conversation with Celestina. She shared so many good kitchen hacks and just really good ways to save time and energy in the kitchen. So this was a good hack that she shared. It's very practical. I'm going to give it to you straight. It is buy frozen veggies or veggies that are already chopped. Okay? Like save yourself. If you're one of those people that has all these good intentions and buys all these vegetables at the supermarket every week, and then you end up throwing them away because you didn't prep them, you didn't chop them, you didn't end up cooking the thing you thought you were going to cook. This is a really good hack because obviously frozen veggies are going to stay frozen. And so you can use them when you need them. And even if you didn't get to that dish that week, that's okay. You won't waste them. But the veggies that are already chopped, I also feel like that's just such a time saver. And sometimes that even just motivates me to make that dish because it's that much simpler to just throw the broccoli florets into the stir fry or into the boiling water versus having to chop, a few heads of broccoli. So another one that she shared that I still remember to this day, and it's been a while, is you can throw frozen salmon right into the oven. Like this was mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. Besides all this, she also covered 3 things every family should have in their pantry to make cooking dinner each night happen easily, and some simple ways to avoid getting takeout multiple times per week. So if you find yourself in that situation, this is definitely a good episode to tune into. So many golden nuggets in this one, especially if you're someone who finds cooking consistently to be one of those tasks that you just cannot seem to get a hold of and master in your house. So that was episode 7, Busy Mama Cooking Hacks with Celestina Brunetti. All right, moving on here. Another tip, number 3, it comes from episode 167. And I guess these aren't all tips, but more just like really good information that have just kind of changed the way I look at certain aspects of my mom life. So episode 167 was How to Pay for College Without Breaking the Bank with Dr. Pamela Ellis. Something I learned on this episode that was another kind of mind-blowing moment was, did you know that you can negotiate a scholarship amount with a university? Yeah, I didn't know that either. Like that offer letter is exactly that. It's an offer. So Dr. Pamela Ellis shared on that episode, like it's just like a job offer. There's likely room for negotiation to occur for the dollar amount that's presented. That was news to me. And that, again, totally blew my mind. Another fun fact I learned from this episode is that scholarships for kids for college can sometimes be locked in as early as the middle school years by third-party providers. So I'm in a season of parenting. We just started middle school. If you're in a season of parenting where you're thinking about college costs or you're planning ahead, and maybe you've got kids as young as middle school, like this is a good one to listen to because she's got so much good information there that, again, you can be thinking about well in advance of your kids going away or starting college and paying for that. So that's one you may not want to miss either. All right, let's move on to number 4 here. Number 4 comes from episode 129, which was using astrology as a planning tool with Crystal B of Crystal B Astrology. Oh, I love Crystal B. I don't know if you know her. She's my personal astrologer. I get a reading with her every year. Besides this, Crystal B is a dear friend. She is someone I have collaborated with in business. She has just helped me so much over the years with her incredible insights, her gifts when it comes to astrology. And I just feel like there's so much she has to give that I couldn't come up with one exact thing that I wanted to share, but I wanted to highlight her and things that have helped me in my ambitious mom life in just speaking to her, having her as a guest on the show, learning more about her, reading her book. So this episode is like a gateway to learning more about how much astrology can benefit you as an ambitious working mom. If you are facing a big decision, if you are curious about why you're feeling a certain way lately, or even if you want to just better understand the dynamic of like working with the people on your team or living with the people in your home, definitely give this episode a listen. But also I would recommend check out her amazing book. It's called Feed Your Moon. And I'm linking not just the episode, but the book in today's show notes. So check that out. All right. Moving on to number 5 here. Number 5 comes from episode 64. Episode 64 was Overcoming Imposter Syndrome for Working Moms with Lauren Smith. Now, I talk about imposter syndrome a lot with my coaching clients. I talk about it during workshops I deliver to different audiences, corporate audiences, conferences. And one mind-blowing piece of information that Lauren Smith, a marketing coach based in South Africa, taught me in this particular episode was that there are these super sneaky ways imposter syndrome shows up. In fact, there are 5 of them, and it's not always the way you typically think about it. Like when you just don't feel confident about something, or when you think someone's going to find out you're not as good as something as they think you are. Like that's kind of where my mind goes when I think about imposter syndrome. But actually, there are some other really funky ways imposter syndrome likes to attack. And one of them could be like maybe you shy away from challenging projects or goals because your imposter syndrome tells you you can't do them. So you only stick with easy stuff that you can really master. Meanwhile, you could totally be shortchanging yourself and not achieving your full potential. And this can happen because maybe you're just so used to being the best at something. So you just can't bear the idea of sucking at it. And let's be real, we all typically suck at stuff when we first do it. Like, go back and listen to the first few episodes of this show. It is living proof, right? So if you're curious how imposter syndrome might be showing up for you, definitely give this episode a listen. You may be surprised those 5 ways may be affecting you in some sneaky ways that you haven't really thought about. So that was number 5. Number six was episode 124. It is something I learned on this episode called Following Your Gut with Andrea Hansen. I loved this episode so much. Okay, we had former teacher, serial entrepreneur, mom, wife, Andrea Hansen. She's so awesome. And I loved it because as you may or may not know, I'm an intuitive coach. So you'd probably think as an intuitive coach, I have this intuition thing down pat, down solid. And like, I just always know what my intuition is telling me. And I always listen and I know exactly what it's saying. And I go in that direction all the time. And you would be wrong if you were assuming that. Because yes, sometimes I'm right there. Like I get it. I listen, I follow. It makes sense. It's clear. And other times I'm like scratching my head, like really confused, wondering what in the world my intuition is trying to tell me, if I heard that right. If you've read my book, Biz Momagement, cue the Red Bird chapter, all about it. I mean, I think God showed me that sign over and over and over again, 100 or more times before I finally listened. So I just want to share with you, if you are someone who leans into intuition, into signs, into that, but you're feeling like, oh, I'm just not sure all the time. I'm not so confident in it. Give this episode a listen, because I love that in this episode, and I think about this all the time, Andrea says, the way to tell the difference if your gut / your intuition is telling you something legit, or if you have some crazy idea you need to just let go of, we've all had those, is, does it keep showing up for you? Does it keep showing up for you? Your intuition will do that. It will nag you usually. It will continue to show up. Maybe not 100 times like mine did. Mine's clearly very stubborn, but more than once for sure. And I just love how Andrea was just able to so clearly put that and other important ways to trust your gut in this particular episode. So go ahead and give it a listen. It is episode 124, Following Your Gut with Andrea Hansen. All right, let's move on to number 7, Lessons Learned in Ambitious Mom Life. It comes from episode 112, Thriving in Motherhood with Dina Ramaha. Dina Ramaha, LCSW, behavioral health specialist, psychotherapist, plus the founder of Conscious Mind Therapy Institute. Probably one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met inside and out. She is just like this beautiful ball of wisdom. And she has taught me a lot over the years. I mean, I met Dina a few times prior to having her on the podcast, but one of the things that really stood out to me on the show was how she talked about the way you show up as a mom. It's different as your kids grow. So in the beginning, you're kind of like this micromanager, right? You're making sure your baby eats enough, sleeps the right amount, has enough wet diapers, etc. And then you continue to manage and you set a lot of boundaries and you keep them safe, and you're probably giving them, as they grow, a little more independence. You're letting them be curious and explore, but you're really in this guidance role. And then they become more adolescents, and they require a different version of that management, right? They need guidance, reassurance, encouragement, almost like they need leadership instead of management. And it was just this aha moment for me, because as I need to grow and evolve as a mom, my kids are growing and evolving, right? And so this wasn't super obvious for me, right? Because I'm not having this physical growth. Like I'm not having these growth spurts. I'm not going through puberty or, whatever, losing my teeth. I mean, I sure hope not, but like all the things they're physically going through as they grow. And so I didn't realize like I also need to grow. And I don't mean grow as a person. I'm always on this growth journey, but like in the style that I'm parenting. And that can be tricky too, because you might have diverse age groups in your house like we do. So I would highly recommend giving this one a listen, no matter what age you're raising. Dina has so many good tips, stories, things that she shares. It's called Thriving in Motherhood, episode 112. It was just such an aha moment for me. And I'm so grateful that we had Dina on the show and she got to share that with our community. All right. Number 8 comes from episode 62. Episode was called Working Mom Style Goals with Gabby Eckert. I loved this episode so much, not only because my guest Gabby was just like the sweetest lady ever, but also because I learned something that really stuck with me over the years. This is another one kind of from the archives here. If you don't know her, Gabby is a certified personal stylist, image consultant, color analyst, and the CEO of Brave and Beautiful Boutique. Now, you might think Gabby has all these tips for like picking your best colors or dressing in silhouettes that suit your body type. And she does. But she also said something in this episode that was so powerful that I have been leaning into this advice for years now. And here's what it was. It was so simple. She said, dress for your goals. Now, that can translate into like dress for the job you want, like show up in an amazing outfit every day, especially if you're looking to get promoted. Or it can look like getting dressed even when you're working from home, like look the part on the Zoom calls, even if it's just waist up. But it can also mean dress for your goal that day. Like if your goal that day is to deep clean your house, if it's to organize your closet, if it's to work out, dress for those goals too. And sometimes those are my most important goals that day. So I know if I show up in the right attire, I'm going to be able to be more successful at those particular goals. So that again comes from episode 62, Working Mom Style Goals. If you want more information on this topic, definitely give that episode a listen. Learned a ton from Gabby on that one. All right, we're gearing up for our last 2 here. We've got number 9. It comes from episode 20. That episode was called Building Your Biz with Jill Salzman. Jill Salzman, she is the founder of Founding Moms, which is a global membership community where you can get tips, coaching, education on how to build and grow your business as a busy mama. So one thing Jill said on this episode that I still remember, and it's been like 4.5 years since we recorded this, but it really stuck with me. She said, the quickest way to make more money when you're in business for yourself. So if this is you, mompreneur, in business, wanting to really grow your income, make more money, she goes, raise your prices. Boom, done. Super simple. Not always that easy. I get that. We get in our own way. We have these like internal arguments about it. Fear steps in. But yeah, that's what she said. Raise your prices. Another thing I loved that Jill said was how entrepreneurship was like a roller coaster, right? You go up, you go down. It's like kind of crazy. But for her, she said she loved the crazy ride. She loved it. And if she wanted things to be calmer and less chaotic, then she wouldn't be on the entrepreneurial journey, right? So yes, entrepreneurship, it's not for everyone. But if it is for you or you're thinking about it, this is one of those episodes you're going to want to tune into. All right. Last one here that I'm going to share. And there have been, I just want to say, so many more, like 199 previous episodes to today. So many guests, so many like golden nuggets of wisdom. Everybody just has brought such amazing energy, insight, knowledge to the Mama Work It community. I'm so grateful. But we keep the episodes 30 minutes, so I can't share it all. So let's dive into number 10, our last one. It comes from episode 156, which was called Finding Fulfillment in Every Season of Motherhood. It was with guest Zena Stevens. Zena, corporate working mom of two, founder of Put Your Cape Away, supports working moms. She said something that really stuck with me in this episode. We talked about lots of things. We talked about balancing career, marriage, parenting, feeling fulfilled all along the way. But this piece of wisdom really stuck with me. She said something along these lines, and it might not be exactly this. So forgive me if I'm misquoting just a little bit, but you are the person you will have the longest and most important relationship with in this lifetime. You, yourself. So invest in you, get to know yourself, treat your body well, eat good foods, pay attention to what you need. Like really cultivate that relationship with yourself because it's really the most important one you'll ever have and the longest one you'll ever have. And I just love that so much, especially for moms who seem to put themselves last a lot, who are typically very selfless, who don't prioritize their own needs. I think that is just such a powerful thing to remember. So take it for what it is. Listen to the full episode. 156, Finding Fulfillment in Every Season of Motherhood with guest Zena Stevens. I'm sure you will take even more amazing tips, knowledge, wisdom from that particular episode. So that is that, my friends. We are going to wrap up episode 200. I still can't believe it. It feels like ages ago that we started this show, and then it also feels like yesterday. It's one of those weird time warp things, but I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you join us weekly or whenever you can catch an episode. And I hope that this show has been and continues to inspire you in ways, in motherhood, in ways of working life, of spouse life, and just all the hats that you're wearing. So thank you for being a listener, a friend, a part of this community. I'm so grateful for you, and cheers to 200 episodes. Bye. That's a wrap for this episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you feel empowered, inspired, and ready to take your next step. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another amazing mama, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps us show up wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to head over to mamaworkit.com for free resources, coaching support, and new ways to momage your days as a busy mom. Until next time, keep on working it, mama.